Susan Lee today faced another revolt on global warming. The opposition leader had several Liberals and Nationals in a coalition meeting stand up to say, enough, the coalition can't wait another year to decide whether to ditch the net zero targets. That's smashing Australia. Power bills soaring, businesses going broke. But Lee is still insisting she'll take her time.
Now, it is still 2 years and 9 months, 8 months till the next election. So we do have time to get it right.
But to be fair, this is a diabolical dilemma for the coalition. I mean, the evidence, the science says the government's net zero policies can't and won't work and are already really hurting Australians. On the other hand, the polls show that most Australians still back them. Joining me is our regular Tuesday commentator, National Senator M.Canavan, the former Resources Minister. Matt, great to see you again. What do you make of this party room meeting today? You were one of the speakers demanding an end to support for net zero, or at least now an end of waiting for a year to decide the coalition policies. What's your argument?
Well, it wasn't actually about our position on net zero per se. My message to my colleagues today, which I said before the party room meeting as well, is that let's just have the debate. As crazy as it sounds, Andrew, we have never debated net zero emissions in the joint coalition party room. This policy was imposed on us by Scott Morrison in late 2021 before he went to the Glasgow conference, and it's sort of just maintained and been on the books. And you know, of course, and I'm sure lots of your viewers know, that this idea that we'd go to net zero emissions in just a generation is the most radical socialist economic plan ever envisaged for our country, and yet the Liberal and National parties have never debated it in our party room. Something's desperately wrong about that. I mean, it doesn't matter what your view on the issue is. We should just have the debate. At the weekend at the LNP political conference, we had the debate. In the end, 99% of 600-odd delegates agreed to scrap net zero. It actually unified us. Having the debate unified us. And I think in most organisations, whether it's your family or your business or even a sporting team, if you've got a bit of tension, if you've got some differences of opinion, the best medicine is to talk things out. Instead, we've swept it under the carpet for 3.5 years, and it's probably not surprising then that there's bubbles and troubles coming to the surface. Why don't we just talk it out, just thrash it out, get it over with, there'll be a result and we can move on.
Yeah, well, one reason is exactly what we saw in Parliament today. The Prime Minister absolutely salivating about this, naming you as someone who's bringing joy to his life by talking about a policy direction, scrapping net zero, that Labor reckons, oh, they can win this. The public really, really backs it. And look, you know, the polls show the public does back it. What's your answer to the Liberals that, you know, you got to support a policy that's going to kill you in the polls?
I think there's a word for this, Andrew. It's called hubris. It's called pride before a fall. And there's been many examples before where people don't end up thanking or being happy for what they wished for. And so let's just see what happens here, because I've seen this movie many times before. I've seen many instances where the polls say one thing, and as soon as someone has the guts to say the emperor has no clothes, those polls turn around very quickly. I mean, we've seen it in the last parliament with The Voice. I saw the Prime Minister just as cock-a-hoop about The Voice. He was goading and encouraging the Liberal National parties to oppose his uber-popular voice. And within a year, he was ashen-faced and had a very different reaction to what the position the coalition said. And I see this playing out very similar if we have the guts and gumption to stand up for the Australian people, because the one question we should be asking the Prime Minister right now is, what is his plan to lower energy prices? What is his plan to lower energy prices? And if we have a firm alternative position on how we should use our energy resources, our priorities, I think he's going to stumble and waffle and look completely lost at any attempt to answer that.
Yeah, but you can only win that. You can only win that, Matt, if you have leadership that is fully and passionately committed to the facts. They know in their gut this direction is wrong. I'm not sure you got that at the moment.
Absolutely.
But this theory about global warming, this is the other thing, Matt, is so extreme, and media organisations so committed to the global warming religion, you know, you're against hysteria like this from popular podcaster Abby Chatfield, who's chosen, as you know, by the Prime Minister for one of his campaign interviews. Look at this.
How do you rationalise having a baby with the climate crisis? I'm not asking this as a gotcha. I'm not going, how dare you? I'm genuinely asking because I want kids. I just don't feel that it's possible for me to have them with the climate collapse happening right now. It seems as though we only have like max 100 years left.
Now, Canavan, I'm delighted if people like Abby Chatfield decide to breathe themselves out. But when you get influential Australians actually claiming we've only got 100 years left on this planet, how can you win?
Well, I think the response is pretty simple in this case. I mean, we can argue the toss over whether climate change is an existential issue for the human race, but if we don't have babies, we'll definitely go extinct. I mean, the clock's ticking. If we all don't have children, at some point, probably in the next 100 years, I think many of us will live longer than that, we all go extinct. So if you actually care about the human race continuing, if that's your goal and objective, guess what? You've got to have babies. Someone's got to do it. I've been happy to do it with my wife 5 times. It's wonderful. Well, the message I'd tell the Australian people is there's not greater joy in your life than seeing your young children grow up and achieve and succeed. And ultimately, I'm an optimist, Andrew. I think we've got a great country. I do think the Australian people will eventually wake up. The old saying is true. Australia is very good at managing adversity, and we're getting into a bit of adversity right now. We're just very poor at managing prosperity, and maybe that explains the position we're in.
I tell you what we're poor at. We're poor at arguing and listening to facts and reason, and that is a criticism I could make of many Liberals. Don't have the courage to argue on the facts. M.Canavan, you have that courage. Thank you so much for your time. After the break, the latest on the manhunt for a cop killer in Victoria.